This week, something changed.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them.
And then this.
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
Tonight, the man who ran the Pentagon's secret UFO program.
There are a lot of gatekeepers that jealously have been guarding this information.
It's a long time coming, all right. Let's find out. Hey everyone, welcome to the Good Trouble Show. I'm Matt Ford. So this week, something happened that a lot of people have been waiting a very long time for. On Thursday night, President Trump posted on Truth Social that he is directing the Pentagon and other government agencies to identify and release files related to, and this is now the official language of the United States government, alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and unidentified flying objects, otherwise known as UFOs. Now, this is a big deal, and we are going to treat it as one tonight. It all started with this.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them.
That was former President Barack Obama on a podcast last week. Now, he walked it back on Instagram the next day, but he had already let the cat out of the bag. And that cat, apparently real, just not Area 51. Then on Thursday, President Trump got on Air Force One, and Fox News reporter Peter Doocy asked him about it.
A lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know?
So aliens are real.
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
Well,
he made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well, the president can declassify anything that he wants to, so if you want to make an announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens are real.
Yeah, illegal. Only illegal.
Yeah, pretty wild. Now, a few hours later, this appeared on President Trump's Truth Social account. Quote, based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien life and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, and unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt called it out-of-this-world news and posted an alien emoji. The Secretary of Defense posted the alien emoji and a salute. Nobody walked it back. Nobody downplayed it. The administration fully owns this statement. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When reporters asked for details, timeline, specifics, which agencies, what gets released, the response from the White House was pretty much silence. No press conference, no briefing, no follow-up, just they stand by the statement, whatever President Trump said. They amplified the announcement with emojis and then left it exactly where Trump put it. An announcement about a future process is not disclosure, but this one is different from every previous promise on this topic because the President of the United States is the one who made it, and his own team is cheering. So tonight, we are going to ask the question that really matters: does this order have teeth? And we have exactly the right person to answer it. But first, this didn't start with a Truth Social post. Let's talk about how we got here. Now, before we bring in our guest, I want to give you some context because what happened Thursday didn't come out of nowhere. Here's Chuck Schumer on the floor of the United States Senate.
The United States government has gathered a great deal of information about UAPs over many decades, but has refused to share it with the American people. That is wrong, and additionally, it breeds mistrust. We've also been notified by multiple credible sources that information on UAPs has also been withheld from Congress, which, if true, is a violation of the laws requiring full notification to the legislative branch.
Withheld from Congress, a violation of the law. That is the majority leader of the United States Senate. And when the House stripped the enforcement mechanisms out of the bill in conference, here's what Senator Schumer had to say about that.
It's beyond disappointing that the House has refused to work with us on all the important elements of the UAP Disclosure Act. Now it means that declassification of UAP records will be largely up to the same entities that have blocked, obfuscated their disclosure for decades.
And then Senator Rounds, the Republican, explained on that same Senate floor exactly what they were trying to recover.
Recovered UAP material or biological remains that may have been provided to private entities in the past and thereby hidden from Congress and the American people.
Biological remains hidden from Congress. A Republican senator on the floor of the United States Senate. So when people ask why a Truth Social post matters, that is why. The legislative route got blocked 3 times. Now the executive branch is moving. The question is whether this order has the teeth that the Disclosure Act never got. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York has been at the center of UAP legislation in the Senate for years. She didn't just stumble into this issue, she sought it out. Today, after Trump's announcement, she put out a statement, quote, "This is good news, and I'm encouraged to see the president lend his support to this effort." Then, and this is the part I want you to hear, she said, quote, "There is still more to be done, and the American people's interest in UAPs only continues to grow. I urge the administration to follow through on this directive." Follow through. That is a senator who has seen the classified files on UAP, praising the announcement, somebody on the other side of the aisle, President Trump, and in the same breath, putting the administration on notice. She's been in this fight long enough to know that an announcement is not disclosure. A directive is not delivery. And Washington has a long history of making promises about transparency on this issue and then finding reasons not to keep them. Now, before we get to our interview, I just want to say over half of you watching right now are not subscribers to this channel. So please do us a favor, subscribe to our channel, hit the little reminder bell that'll tell you when we have a new show coming up with a really great guest. Leave a thumbs up, leave a comment. All of those little things that you do for us, that's what signals YouTube. That's what says to YouTube, hey, this Good Trouble show is actually pretty good. Why don't you recommend it to people that are not subscribers to the channel? So anyway, really helps us out. We would really appreciate it. My guest tonight ran the Pentagon's secret UFO program, AATIP. He resigned in protest when the government refused to take it seriously, and he has been sounding the alarm ever since. Please welcome Lue Elizondo. Lue, welcome back to the show. When you saw Trump's Truth Social post last night, what was your reaction?
Well, first of all, a little bit of relief. To be honest with you, politics aside, I know, anytime you mention a politician specifically, there's always sides on either side of the camp that will, either love the person or hate the person. But nonetheless, I think this is significant. I think it's going to lead one way or the other to some people in the Department of Defense and our government having to answer some very, very difficult questions. Now, is it possible they could turn around and still obfuscate? Absolutely. We've had decrees like this before in other areas. And truth is, it's a lot more difficult to actually implement than it is to say. Now, does this president have the ability and the horsepower to actually make good on what his promise is? I think so. I think if there's one thing we've seen is that he definitely has the capability and the willingness to ruffle some feathers. And I think in this particular case, that's exactly what we need. We've needed for a long time. There are a lot of gatekeepers that jealously have been guarding this information. And it's a long time coming. So I think it's very good. I also think we need to thank a lot of people besides the president for this. Also, folks in his administration that have been quietly advising him in his inner circle. We also need to be thankful to the members of Congress on both sides, both Republican and Democrats, that have been pushing for greater transparency for a long time. You know, folks like Anna Paulina Luna and Eric Burleson and Tim Burchett, who've been really spearheading this, along with folks like Senator, the folks here from South Dakota. You have to forgive me.
Senator Rounds.
Senator Mike Rounds, correct. Sorry, I was just looking at my notes here on some other senators here.
No problem.
I haven't had enough coffee yet, but Senator Burleson, Eric Burleson, the representative, and Senator Mike Rounds, and then former Senator Marco Rubio have really done a lot. Gillibrand have really done a lot to drive this conversation. And we can't forget also Representative Carson as well. So there's a lot of folks out there that deserve a lot of credit for this. We've been working, as you know, tirelessly behind the scenes for quite a while now, damn near a decade now. So there might be a little bit of what we call battle fatigue. If you see me looking a little bit tired, it's because I'm exhausted.
Sure.
But I think this is an excellent step in the right direction. I think there's going to be a lot more pressure now by the Pentagon, folks like the Public Affairs Office, particularly folks like Susan Go, who we know has been obfuscating this topic and frankly not telling the truth about this topic now for a long time. So it'll be interesting what happens next. I'm very eager to see what comes next. I myself will be back in DC here quite a bit. A lot of folks know that when I'm quiet is usually when I'm working the hardest. And so, the fight isn't over yet, but it's definitely a positive step forward.
Absolutely. So the defense industrial base, the legacy UAP programs, the CIA, Department of Energy, does this order, if you want to call it an order, does it actually reach those programs, or are they still untouchable? What declassification powers does Trump have on this?
Well, first of all, as a chief executive officer here in the United States in the government of the executive branch, he has the authority to declassify what he wants. The question is, will people listen? Will people do what he's asked to do? That's a lot harder than simply just decreeing something. Right now, technically, it's not real till it's in writing. So I suspect there might be some sort of executive order. Certainly, when we have this Tuesday, I guess there's the big State of the Union coming up. One would hope that maybe he says something like that. Hey, I've given order through an executive order to declassify any and all UAP related information. Keep in mind that there are some sensitivities when doing that. There is technology and information and perhaps some insights that may have been gleaned from past research into these things. So clearly we have to be careful. We don't want to reveal to the point where we've given a foreign adversary some sort of strategic advantage in our national security, right, apparatus. So we have to be careful and cautious about that. But I think this is a tremendous step forward. Now, can he leverage all the little pockets within the Department of Energy and the intelligence community writ large and the Department of Defense and national security? That remains to be seen. But I do think now it's going to be a lot more difficult for people to say that they don't know something, right? Because now they've been ordered. And if you've been ordered to do something by the president and you don't do it, well, now there's consequences for that. So I do think it's a step in the right direction. And I think it's a significant step in the right direction.
I would completely agree with that, Lou. Now, there are people in the government and private contractors right now who have been sitting on this information for decades. What would be your message to them right now?
You better come clean. I would, if I were you, you're having a bullseye painted right on you right now. Things could get very uncomfortable for you both professionally and personally if you don't comply. We have rules and laws in this country, and then if the president gives you an order and it's a lawful order, you better execute. Period. Full stop. And if you don't, at that point, you're the enemy, in my opinion. You are enemy of the American people. You are enemy of the state. That is not a position you want to be in. I think we have a chance here. Hopefully we don't villainize people as they start to come forward. I suspect there's going to be a lot more whistleblowers now coming forward. I think we need to maintain pressure to ensure that there are commensurate protections for whistleblowers who want to come out now, because now I think they're put between a rock and a hard place, right? Either comply with the president or don't. And if not, face the consequences. So I think you're going to see some nervous people coming out saying, okay, look, I want to comply, but I also, don't want to be, put in front of a proverbial firing squad, so to speak. So we still need to figure that out. I think there are ways we can do it. I think we need to incentivize these people. I don't think we need to villainize them. Yes, secrets have been kept for too long. Yes, people have been lied to. Yes, people have been deceived, and maybe even worse. And we as a people need to be prepared for that. We need to recognize that maybe extreme measures have been taken in order in the past to keep people silent. It wouldn't be the first time. But with that said, we have a very rare opportunity here. We have a very rare opportunity to come together as a people and to tell this current administration, A, how much we appreciate this decision, and B, how we expect to have results finally. I've always said America can handle the truth and America deserves the truth, and I stand by those words. And as I always tell people, I'm cautiously optimistic. Anything can happen. This is the first time we've really been here in this conversation ever as a society, really. So, anything can go wrong and everything can go wrong. But with that said, there's also a lot of opportunity for things to go right. The problem is we only have one chance to do it right, and we've got pretty much every chance to do it wrong. So we have to be very cautious as we move forward and recognize the different stakeholders and potentially even past involvement by other presidents in this topic and pull the thread, but pull the thread gently. I think we need to be careful we don't unravel the entire sweater. That's not necessary. That's my perspective, so to speak.
Yeah, very well said. So, Lou, if President Trump is watching right now, what is your message to him?
First and foremost, thank you. On behalf of a grateful nation, again, whether you agree with the man politically or not, he is taking a very bold move forward in a topic that people for decades, Matt, have been waiting for this moment. You just had it. You had it before this last week when Obama had said a couple words and then kind of reeled it back in. And now you have President Trump doubling down and saying, you know what, we're going to release this information. I'm giving an order to, and it's got to be bigger than just the Department of Defense. I know that Secretary Hegseth is being very proactive about this, and I congratulate him for that. I think it's excellent for him to be doing so. But I think you're right. There's other pockets like the Department of Energy where we know this information has been kept for a long time. There's even pockets within the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, certainly within the U.S. services, right? Army, Navy, Air Force, et cetera. And also within the intelligence community, right? The CIA and other elements within the national security apparatus that have been keeping tabs on this topic. Keep in mind, some of this information still remains very, very classified. So now the hard part comes, right? How do you it's not like all of a sudden you're going to have this avalanche of top secret information flooding the National Archives and the airways. I don't think that's realistic. I think now, just like we've seen with other issues that our nation is dealing with, there has to be a careful process to review this information, get out to the American people the information that should get out, while also protecting our national security interests. And when I say that, let me be clear here. This is not a cover-up. The national security interests need to be legitimate national security interests, right? The things that we're protecting because we don't want a foreign adversary to either have knowledge of or be able to potentially exploit. What we can't do and should not do is keep things classified simply because they're embarrassing or because they are trying to cover up some sort of malfeasance or something. Potentially even criminal activity. That I do not agree with, and I think we need to be very mindful of that as we move forward in the declassification process of these files, because they're there. I've seen them, and some of these files are very, very, very classified, and for good reason, right? Because of the sensor systems collection systems that were being used at the time to collect this type of data is something that maybe we don't necessarily want to reveal to a foreign adversary. So this is why I've always been very careful about when I have conversations, people always say, well, why don't you just tell everybody what you know? And I've always said, no, there's a right way to do it. There's a difference between doing things right and doing things right now, and I prefer to do things right. And I did not have to violate my security oath to have this conversation. And others like me, we didn't have to go that far. We could have this conversation in a way that was, I think, productive and without risking any type of national security equities.
Well, Lou, I can honestly say, had it not been for you coming forward in that New York Times article in 2017, I dare say we would not be at this point right now. So thank you, sir, very much for everything that you have done on this topic. You are certainly someone that is the epitome of putting country before self. So thank you for your service, and thank you for coming back on the show.
Matt, I appreciate that. But let me just say one closing thought here. It's been a team effort. We're only here because people such as yourselves have had the courage in the media to report on this. We're here because people in your audience who have an interest and desire and who have written Congress time and time again demanding the truth. It's been a joint effort. There's a lot of folks out there that have the same bags under their eyes as I do right now.
Sure.
Because they've been working very, very hard behind the scenes and continue to do so. So as much as I appreciate the accolades and the credit, the reality is it's shared amongst many, many people, and including folks like yourselves and your audience.
Well, thank you so much. And I look forward to having you back on the show. I'm sure there will be plenty to talk about in the weeks and months to come. So thanks for coming on, Lou. Good to see you.
Hey.
All right. That was Lue Elizondo. Now, look, I don't care who you voted for. What happened Thursday night is historic. No sitting president has ever gone this far. Not one. The stakes are not even American. They're not even political. If what these senators believe is true, if what our guest tonight believes is true, this is the most important story in human history. So call your lawmaker today. Tell them you stand with President Trump on this. America deserves the truth, because if we don't make noise now, Washington will do what Washington always does. And trust me, you do not want to miss what comes next. Folks, if you enjoyed our interview with Lue Elizondo, you will love this episode. Thank you for tuning in. And if you love our channel, please hit that subscribe button. See you next time.